Hello everyone, in today's video we will talk about OpenTofu's 1.10 release. But first, in case you missed it, OpenTofu was accepted in CNCF at the sandbox project level. With CNCF's backing, OpenTofu aligns more closer than ever to the broader cloud-native ecosystem. Now let's talk about some of the top features from the OpenTofu 1.10 release. The top voted issue that was released in OpenTofu 1.10 is the OCI registry support. So right now you can use your modules and providers directly from any OCI supported registry. I've prepared a very short example on how to use a module from the GitHub registry. So this would be just an EC2 module. It will create instances and some SSH keys and upload the key to SSM. The way you'd go about it is you create a zip archive based on this module. So let's do that ourselves. Go to EC2 and just create a zip archive based on it. So you can see the zip archive was created successfully. And now I'm going to use ORAS to log into my GitHub registry with my user and my GitHub token. As you can see in my GitHub registry, I only have 3 packages and none of them are related to OpenTofu. So let's now push this package directly to ORAS and then use the module from there. So to do that, I will use the ORAS push command. You have to make sure the artifact type is application/vnd.opentofu.module package. Then you'll add the name of your registry. So this is the my GitHub registry /my user / the name of the package. And then just say what do you want to upload. So this is the ec2.zip archive from here. And just mention its type right here. So now my module was pushed successfully to the GitHub registry. And if I refresh here, we're going to see that this one was pushed right now. So in order to use it, we'll have to declare here a module. Let's say EC2. And then a source. This will be equal to OCI. And then let's add the image right here that we've added. Question mark tag equals to latest. And then of course, we'll need to also declare the provider. So this will be AWS and say region is whatever region we want. So right now, if I go one directory back and say tofu init, I should be able to download my module. So as you can see, it's working properly. It's already finding the latest versions of the providers I'm using in my code. And now I can easily run a tofu plan and see what kind of resources we can create based on this module. I'm not going to show you how to do it for the providers, but it's fairly easy. I'll leave the documentation for it in the video description, so you just have to follow these steps. Another interesting feature in this OpenTofu 1.10 release is the native locking capability of the S3 buckets. So right now you don't need to use DynamoDB anymore whenever you are configuring your remote state in AWS. You'll just use the S3 backend as you would normally would, and you have a new parameter that you can configure there called useLockFile. So let me show you how this looks like. So you'll just configure the backend as you normally would for S3, add the bucket and the key, and then you have to add this new useLockFile parameter set to true. And of course we have to add the region as well for the S3 bucket. So let's now run tofu init. And as you can see, the backend was configured successfully and our module is getting again pulled from the OCI registry. You can also deprecate module variables and outputs right now. So there is a new field available for both variables and outputs called deprecated. And we can add it here and say, this is deprecated. It will be removed in a newer version of the module, for example. And then if I go to my main.tf and let's just change the source to use the module /ec2 directly, because I don't want to recreate the archive and push it again to the GitHub registry. And I also add the deprecated variable here. When I do tofu init, I'm going to get this module. And when I do tofu plans and applies, I'm going to get notified that this variable that I'm using inside of my module is being deprecated by the module author. Let's now do a plan. So as soon as the plan finishes, we will see at the end of it that our variable is actually deprecated and it will be removed in a newer version. So this is basically the message that I've added in the deprecated field. So this is actually valid as well for outputs. So it's a very clear way to show your module consumers that some of the variables or outputs will be deprecated in the future and they should use like newer variables or newer outputs. Another cool thing is that your lists right now can also use negative indices. So let's do on my list. This is 1, 2, 3, 4 and say, let's do an output actually and say output last element and its value would be equal to element of my local.mylist and -1. So if I run tofu plan, we should see that the last element is equal to 4. Exactly as we see right here. There are other awesome features that were released in OpenTofu 1.10, such as global provider cache locking, multi-project PostgreSQL state management, advanced resource migration with the moved block, smarter remove block behavior, and more. Apart from the 1.10 release, there are many things that are happening in the OpenTofu ecosystem. There is an MCP server available. This helps you interact with the OpenTofu registry to find out more information about your providers, modules, resources, and data sources. There is also a governance framework revamp, so now there is a formal governance framework that details the roles, responsibilities, and decision-making processes of the TSC and other contributors. And last but not least, there is an OpenTofu extension for VS Code available, which helps you with syntax validation, highlighting, IntelliSense, and others. OpenTofu has also hit over 10 million downloads on GitHub, and keep in mind this is GitHub only, so if you take into consideration other package managers like Homebrew, the number is much higher. Spacelift also supports OpenTofu 1.10 from day one, so if you want to use it, it's fairly simple. You just create a stack as you would normally would, and by default, the OpenTofu version that you will use is the latest one, so it's 1.10. So that's it for this video. If you liked it, don't forget to like, subscribe, and ring the bell to get notified when new videos are up. I'm Flavius, see you the next time.